And Tashina Gonzalez with Vida Activa, your favorite holistic wellness and self-development coach, back here with my Feel Good Friday, now in English, sharing what I just shared with all my monolingual friends. So, as usual, I always try to share something that I need reminders on and something that has happened to me. So today, we are talking about causes and things you can do of uncontrollable crying. So I did a video on the benefits of crying because I'm doing a lot of emotional work, a lot of healing, and I felt like I was crying a lot more. And so one of the things I've been working on recently is that I have a dismissive avoidant attachment style based on my childhood, and I repress the majority of my emotions. And so I've done a few aroma freedom techniques, and sometimes like the practitioner will ask me, "What are you feeling?" And I'm like, "Frustrated." Like that's, and she'll be like, "That's not really emotion. Like there's something underneath there." Like, and so I've been working on like bringing up some of those emotions and went through a couple of books. And as I'm actually in a group with other dismissive avoidants, they're saying that it seems like you'll get to a point where like you're super emotional. You went from like being like not emotional, but you had all these emotions down and now they're all coming up. So unfortunately, I was under a lot of stress, and that happened while I was on vacation. So I wanted to remind myself of the reasons why, as well as remind myself of what I could do, because I know that there's tools that I could do, but in the moment, and I got upset after a successive amount of things, I forgot all the things that I could do to stop it. But so yeah, cried in the middle of the street, embarrassed all my friends. Oh, a million apologies to everyone. But yeah. Got to work on it. And it's not like I do uncontrollable crying very often. Like I'm not a crier usually. And probably been 8 years since I've had like a public cry like that. But just in the future, if it's in public, it's probably better to try to calm down and get it done elsewhere. So, causes of uncontrollable crying. Well, for me, I know that I'd actually gotten sick right before, got notified of a death that I was unexpected, got sick while I was there, and just took a couple of things wrong, which is my issue. If I get triggered by other people, it's my issue, but I'm still working on myself and still getting some triggers done. So, here are the causes of uncontrollable crying. So I got an article, and it starts out by saying there's still a lot that we don't know about crying, who cries more and why. Even large studies on crying and its effects rely on people to self-report, which makes results less consistent. Crying is a tool to communicate an emotional response. It shows people around you that you're feeling something. You may cry more or less depending on how sensitive you are to stimuli and how comfortable or you feel openly showing your emotions. Many scientists have worked to find out if a good cry that leaves you feeling refreshed is actually possible. Overall, the research is split. It may also depend on how supportive your environment is to showing emotion. A large study of men and women from around the world found that people report crying 1 to 10 times per month. And then I did another video on it, and it talks about the averages as well. So, one of the causes can be hormones. This was part of my problem for sure. Since women commonly report crying more than men, it's a solid theory that hormones affect crying differences among people. Testosterone, a hormone higher in men, may prohibit crying, while prolactin, which is higher in women, may promote crying. Hormones dictate much of how your body functions, and their levels can cause a wide array of symptoms. If anything has been affecting your hormones, such as sleep, stress, or medications, it can likely affect how much you cry. Crying in pregnancy. Being pregnant is a lot of work, and crying more is common occurrence. Both happy and sad feelings can trigger a lot of tears if you're pregnant. Reasons you might have uncontrollable crying in pregnancy are major hormonal changes in your body, exhaustion from physical changes in your body, feeling overwhelmed with all the preparations to have the baby, and increased occurrence of depression. Crying spells with anxiety and stress. So this is also part of my problem. Stress is a normal reaction to some of life's everyday events. Stress makes your body and mind alert to what's going on. However, constant stress can be the sign of an anxiety disorder. Anxiety can prevent you from doing the things you want to do and living life as you desire. A 2016 study looked at crying tendencies in adults and how it related to their sense of attachment, safety, and connection to others. People with anxiety were more likely to say that crying feels helpful but uncontrollable. If you have anxiety, you might cry often or uncontrollably. So there's lots of different signs of anxiety. I don't usually have anxiety like on an everyday basis, but I can get into bouts of having anxiety. And if you need more information on signs of anxiety, hit me up so I can send it to you. Exhaustion is also part of the problem. A lot of people report being quicker to cry when they're really tired. If you've been crying a lot more lately and you know you're not getting enough sleep, you should get more rest. It can take a long time to come back from sleep deficit. Adults need 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Sleeping at unusual times also doesn't help because your natural hormones make your brain tired and need sleep over the course of the night. Anxiety and stress can make you more tired, so these might go together for you. But it's certainly possible to be exhausted without having an underlying mental health condition. Depression crying spells. Depression is a medical condition that often looks like sadness, exhaustion, or anger. It looks different in everyone. While it's normal to be sad sometimes, people with depression have an unexplained heaviness for 2 weeks or more. Depression is a mental health condition with many potential treatments. Unexplained crying can be a sign of depression. And there are many, many other signs of depression, and I've done videos on this, so if you need information on that, hit me up as well. Depression can look vastly different from person to person. It can happen to anyone, though it's more common in women, usually occurs between ages of 25 to 44. Working with a doctor can help you figure out what you're experiencing and how to treat it. So, you shouldn't feel pressure to stop yourself from crying unless you personally decide you want to. While crying can be very helpful in relieving stress, that's not always the case. Depending on each situation, you can decide if you'd rather cry and move on or avoid it completely. And so, in this case, when I'm in the public and upsetting other people, it would have been better for me to have some strategies for me to do it at some other time. However, if you find yourself constantly trying to avoid crying, there may be more going on in your health that needs attention. Research shows that culture and social norms can affect your experience of crying. If you're crying, it may be best to have a supportive friend with you and to let yourself cry without shame or embarrassment. In these cases, you are a lot more likely to feel better after crying. So, what are the tips to stop crying if you don't have that supportive space? Slow your breath. So deep breathing techniques, the havening technique that I work with in a group therapy session doing. Loosen your face muscles and throat where you can get that lump. Try smiling. People report this physical change affects their emotions and distracts the body and prevents tears. So yeah, physically putting yourself in a position actually makes you feel that emotion. Emotion can follow action, actually. Push your tongue into the roof of your mouth. I didn't know about that one. Drink water. Think of something mundane like a poem or recipe you know by heart to distract yourself. Look at something soothing. And one of my favorite ways, of course, to change emotions is essential oils. And one of my favorite ones, when I've seen people that I didn't know having an uncontrollable crying situation, then I have pulled out joy. And this has just helped so tremendously. I didn't have it on me when I was in the middle of the street crying at the time. But something I should probably always keep in my pocket. So, takeaway: some people cry more easily or can't stop crying once they've started. Crying is totally normal, but you want to cry less often, or your crying may be due to a health condition. So if you suddenly started crying more and you don't know the reason, like me, I know what the reason is. I'm doing a bunch of healing and I'm trying to get to the normal state of emotions that the average person has that hasn't experienced as much trauma as me. If you don't know the reason, you can definitely seek medical help. So as usual, don't forget to give me a wave, a hi, a hello. Let me know what city or state you are watching me from, and #replay. No matter where you're watching the replay, if it's on Instagram, Facebook, or later on YouTube. And thank you for joining me. Have an amazing day. Bye, guys.